Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. It's Wednesday, it's the 28th of October. Delighted to have your company. Roughie's with me, Tam McManus and Charlie Adam are also here. And you are the most important person. Don't forget to like, share and follow our programme across your Facebook. And if you get the chance, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Lots to look forward to. European football on the horizon for Celtic and Rangers. We will hear from Neil Lennon, Lee Griffiths. We'll also hear from Steven Gerrard as well. He's been talking about the pressures of being an old firm manager, and we'll hear from the Hearts camp ahead of that big semi-final to look forward to. Yep, it's at Hampden Park. It's Hearts and Hibs, and then of course Celtic and Aberdeen. So that's all on the agenda. Give us your thoughts on that. We'll talk Champions League football as well. As far as this week's been concerned, well, it seems to be all about the flack that was coming Neil Lennon's way. Steven Gerrard says it goes with the territory, winning and losing matches.
Well, I don't think you'd have to be a rocket scientist to work it out that, whoever's in the best form, you seem to get a bit more peace in terms of the scrutiny in the media and the questions that are fired at you. You get a couple of indifferent results and that certainly changes very, very quickly and the heat comes in a different direction. That's the way it is. That's what myself and Neil or myself and Brendan prior to Neil have to live with. That's the job we're in.
Yeah, that's the nature of it. Were you surprised by the outburst, first and foremost, Tam?
Yeah, I was a little bit with Neil. Listen, I think he's taken a lot of flack, but I think a lot has been deserved, Peter. I think Celtic have been playing really poorly. It's not just been 1 week for me. It's been over the course of the start of the whole season. They've struggled by in Europe as well. Riga, Sarajevo, two very average sides. They've struggled past them. They've not been flying in the league. They've struggled past St Mirren, Livingston. So they're not firing all cylinders, and I think this week it's just came ahead. I think their performances have caught up with them, and they've obviously lost 3 games. So I think some of the personal abuse, I don't think anybody, particularly in this show, has been personal to anybody. We're just saying that we fancy Rangers to win the league from here. They're playing the better football, and Shane Duffy's not been up to scratch. We're not saying that he's a bad football player or a donkey or whatever. We're just giving our opinion. So I don't think he was correct in firing, a salvo at certain people in the media either.
Yeah, I mean, he's picked out a few, but I did mention to Neil Lennon in the press conference yesterday, Charlie, I can only speak for our show. Everybody else, have got good journalists, good pundits working for them who have a balanced view. I don't think he should take a scattergun approach that everybody's under the same umbrella on this one. I think, you've got to try and get a sense of balance on it, Charlie. You live or die by your results.
You do, and he knows that. He's got 20 years' experience of Glasgow. He understands it. I think he'll be more disappointed in that it's people within that Celtic sort of culture of your Chris Commons and, certain people like that are having a go and saying silly things. Listen, Shane Duffy's having a tough time. We've all been there. He's probably not played to level. He'll know that as a player. And because he's where he's come from, he's under more scrutiny than anybody else. And that's the fact. But when it's your own sort of people that are labelling the criticism, it's hard to take because you seem to think that you're on the same camp, but obviously not. And Neil's obviously not happy with it, and he's coming with all guns blazing. But if you don't perform well enough and your results are not right, as an old firm manager, you're going to get the stick, and you have to take it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think lots of people actually mentioning that the fact that when you're in the pressure cooker, that is indeed Celtic or Rangers. If it's not going according to plan, you're not winning game after game, then of course you're going to get that. Big hi to Niall, hi to Michael as well. Darren Fields, Robert Dinning joins us, and also Paul Baird, Tam Lee, Aileen hi, and a big hi to Lachlan Gold and John McLaughlin as well. There's lots of people offering their tuppence worth on this, and we will try and read out as many of them as we possibly can. Of course, let's cut to the chase, which is, of course, football. And Rangers have got the small matter of Lech Poznan at home, which is a good situation. Despite all the flack that was coming Neil Lennon's way, Steven Gerrard is quick to point out they need to stay focused on what they've got to do rather than what's happening all around.
We need to just focus on our job in hand, and that's to win as many football matches as we can. It's my job to guard and protect the players in the squad the noise from the outside, whether it be positive, whether it be negative, because we all know where we're playing football. We all know what type of reaction we get from game to game, from result to result.
Yeah, and the bonus here, Roughie, is they've got Bungani Zungu looking as if he's fit, raring to go as well. I mean, it's at this moment in time for Steven Gerrard, there's a calm, there's a real feel-good factor that you can sense from many people who messages on our Facebook feed.
Yeah, I think of everything, I think the most positive thing from Rangers has been their style of playing Europe. The results in Europe have sort of taken away the pressures of Celtic winning trebles. I just think that they're focused on that. He's got players in there who like playing that European style of football, and you wouldn't bet against them in any of the European games against this present bunch that are in the Europa. They've done everything they need. They've got a pool of players. He's gathered a lot of experience, and we've already talked about it last night. The people on the bench are stronger than ever. But he's right. They still have to win games. That's it. I mean, because he'll get the same as Neil Lennon's getting. He'll start if he stops winning games. He'll get it. You've not won a trophy for this year or that year. All that. So he knows what's round the corner. He's experienced enough to know if you keep winning, you don't get any flack.
Yeah, and of course, with that in mind, I'm just reading out some of these comments with regards to Steven Gerrard. They're all coming in that quickly. I'll try and get by as many of them as I possibly can. But I think a lot of people, Gordon McFadden said, spot on, Steven Gerrard. He's focused on what they've got to do in hand rather than listening to all the noise that's going on anywhere else. And of course, Steven Gerrard himself was first to point out, Charlie Adam, that this is the first time he's really had all his attacking options available to him as well.
Yeah, he's listen. Rangers are in a good place at the moment. On and off the pitches, and they're in clear mind on what they want. They're focused. They're winning football matches, and when you've got everybody fit and available, it makes it a little bit easier. So no, it's now trying to probably for Rangers will be to pick what's going to be his strongest bench because of the amount of players he's got, leaving players out. I think the Rangers team probably picks itself really, unless obviously they made 5 changes at the weekend against Livingston, but that was probably down to just giving people an opportunity to play games, and you'd expect Rangers to beat Livingston. But I wouldn't expect Rangers to get beat tomorrow night either. I think it's going to be a comfortable match for them. They won't change the way they play. They'll sit in and then counter attack and get the job done. So they'll just keep trying to turn the results every week into wins and progressing.
On that point, I just want to get your thoughts on it, Charlie. Do you think they can have a sustained run in Europe and go further than they managed last season? And off the back of that, if you can answer the question, would they want to in this season?
I think they would want to. I think if you're a Rangers player and you want to try and get into the latter stages of a European competition, absolutely. But that's where you have a strong squad and you choose your games on what you do. But no, I think the Rangers players will be looking at each game as they come. If they win tomorrow night, that's 6 points out of 6, and then looking again at the weekend to going into another game, and then just taking one game at a time. And there's a calmness about Rangers at the moment. You can see that from the manager, how he's talking, and he's just trying to keep everything in house and keep the any disruptions away from the team, and just trying to keep it as smooth as possible.
Yeah, so you see it as a win tomorrow night. Charlie, Roughie, how do you see it?
Yeah, I think it's a win. I think at home they've been pretty solid, and we keep going on about it. They're not losing goals. They don't even look as if they're going to lose goals, which is a good thing. Their back four's settled. They all seem to know each other, and yeah, I can only see a win at home as well.
Yeah. Tam, how do you see it for Rangers?
Yeah, I fancy Rangers as well. I just think they're playing with so much confidence at the minute, Peter, and they've got so many options. He can rest people, he can bring people in, the quality of Defoe, and the team that isn't weakened in any way. So he's got plenty of competition. People are desperate to come in and do well. And Rangers, I would expect at home to take care of like Poznan and win the game.
Yeah, has there been any notification yet, Tam? Has anything come through in the mail that you have won Landscape Artist of the Year for the drawing that you did? I'm just wondering if there's any kind of a notification that you've won it with that beautiful look of East Kilbride in the winter.
Yeah, it's East Kilbride Galaxy. You know, that's what you see at night up here when the moon's out. So I got somebody to paint it for me. I've been sick of a blank wall. My wife's giving me pelters, so I've decided to jazz it up a bit today. I hope the viewers like it.
Yeah, wow, you got somebody to do that for you. That's even more amazing.
We're going to change it every week.
No,
Charlie, I just hope we change it for next week. Never mind every week. I can't believe it. Look at that. Look at him there, jazzing it up is how he puts it. And of course, Roughie just infuriates everybody because unless there's an earth tremor where he lives, it always knocks every frame that he has out of kilter, and it sends people on here going absolutely mental. So anyway, apart from anything else, it's good to jazz it up. Well done to you, Tam. So from Lech Poznan, where everybody, and I have that same feeling myself, I think Rangers will win it by a couple of goals. That's Rangers. What about Celtic? It's against Lille. It's away from home. And suddenly, Tam, I think Celtic need Lille like a hole in the head right now.
Yeah, it's a very difficult game. I mean, the AC Milan and Lille games for me were the two big ones. They're the two favourites, obviously, to get through the group. Celtic need a positive performance first and foremost, and get a result. It'd be great, but I don't think the Europa League is the priority this season for Celtic. They want to go over there and put on a good show, good display, and hopefully get something out of the game. But if not, they're obviously got a big game at the weekend. But they have to try and stop the rot, i.e. losing games. So if they go over to Lille and get a point, it'll build confidence towards the weekend with the big semi-final against Aberdeen.
Yeah, let's find out a little bit more about Lille from our reporter Gabriel Antoniazzi.
Celtic's tough games continue as they face a trip to Lille on Thursday night in their second Europa League group game. Opponents Lille were formed at the end of the Second World War and are managed by Christophe Gauthier, who's been at the helm for 3 years. The club have 3 Ligue 1 titles and have also won 6 Coupe de France. Their most recent success was back in 2011 when a young Eden Hazard inspired them to lift the double. Of course, Hazard is now gone, but they do boast players such as the experienced Jose Font, €30 million man Jonathan David, and highly regarded midfielder Renato Sanchez. Le Dog also had a bid for Rangers forward Alfredo Morelos turned down in the summer. They finished 4th in the league last season, meaning they earned automatic entry into this season's group stage. They're unbeaten in their last 12 games, a run stretching all the way back to February, and they're currently joint top of Ligue 1 with PSG. Neil Lennon must turn his side's form around soon, but it will be a tough task against one of Europe's informed teams on Thursday.
Strangely enough, Roughie, this is one of those games where I don't think anyone, I mean, lots of Celtic fans want their club to do well in Europe, but if this was a defeat, I don't think there'd be as much of a hoo-ha about it because the expectations have dropped at the moment, and I think they're looking for the manager to focus on something else.
Yeah, but as Tam said, you want to come out of this game with a bit of confidence. You're going into a massive game at the weekend. They won't want to go into that game in the back of a 2 or a 3-0 defeat. I don't think you can talk your way out of that one. So you're looking for a solid performance. You're looking for players who are getting a bit of stick, to find some kind of form and just come away. Possibly if you can get a draw would be good. Maybe 1-0 defeat. You don't want a hammer. You don't want anything really negative that people are just going to kick into again before the semi-final, because you don't want to lead up to a semi-final with just negative stuff going on. It's just not good for the players.
Derek Edmonds says, I think Lille will win this game 4-0, possibly 5-0. The Celtic defence can't handle teams going at them. There'll be far too much for you there. Stuart Ramsey says, Peter, I can't get you on YouTube. We will check that for you, Stuart. I don't know why there would be some sort of problem on YouTube as well, but I think everything seems to be A-OK. I don't know why you're not getting it because I'm looking at it right now and it looks fantastic. Even Tam's beautiful painting has come up beautiful on YouTube, so I wouldn't worry about that, Stuart. You'll need to try harder. as far as the week is concerned, I have to say that Neil Lennon, despite coming out with all guns blazing yesterday, has mentioned that this is indeed a big week. Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup semi-final, but like Stephen Gerrard, he says he has to try and get the players back focused on what's facing them tomorrow night.
If we win the game, then it opens the group up for us and keeps us ticking over. We haven't made a disappointing start to the group, losing a home game where we were very good at home in the Europa League last year. So it's important that we get something out of the game, and we're going to need a strong team out because Lille are a very good side. I'm not really looking too much ahead of the Aberdeen game. We've had a good look at them, last weekend there. So we're very familiar with, their players and their style of play. So all our focus at the minute is on Lille.
Yeah, Odson Edo are back in training. They need him back quickly firing, Charlie. Also near Beaton. And I think maybe if he could get Beaton back, it might give him an option, Charlie, if Shane Duffy still has the jitters.
No, Shane Duffy will play no matter what. It doesn't matter if he's having a tough time, he's going to play because you've invested so much in a loan deal and things like that. So I just think Neil Lennon will be saying to Shane Duffy, let's play your way through this. I expected Celtic to make a couple of changes, but obviously seeing that now, Neil's obviously saying they will go strong and try and get something at the match. And if they can get, a win would be a brilliant for the group. But if they can get a draw and build on that again for Sunday, then they'll take confidence from that. But they will have a little bit of an eye on Sunday, definitely, because that's a massive game for them.
Yeah, a big hi to Jimmy, who's watching us. Jimmy Griffin is in Durham. One game at a time, Neil Lennon. Well said, says Kevin McManus on this game. The one big bonus for them could be Tam McManus, and I'm not going to preempt that it's going to be some kind of long scoring run, but the real bonus could be if suddenly Lee Griffiths is back consistently with his shooting boots on.
Yeah, listen, we've spoken about Lee so many times in this show. He's a tremendous striker. Knows where the goals are. Scored a fantastic goal at the weekend. He only needs a yard in the box and the ball's in the back of the net. If he can just keep him fit, he looks sharp when he come on, and they'll be looking to try and get 90 minutes out of him. I think you need to try and get Lee getting 90 minutes in his legs, and I think you'll see the best of him. So, obviously away from home, it'll be tough. It'll be backs against the wall, as Neil said, they're up against a top side. So, if wee Griff can get some minutes under his belt, I'm sure the Celtic fans would be delighted. Because for me, he's a top striker when he's fit.
And he openly admits himself that he wants to try and force the manager's hand by picking him on a regular basis.
I'm coming into training, working hard every day, trying to get my fitness levels up to the maximum that I can, and trying to put pressure on the gaffer to play me in these games. But again, I've got Odson, Albion and Patrick breathing down my neck, and it's a difficult decision for the gaffer to make. So listen, we're all vying for that one jersey or two jerseys that we're looking forward to playing, but if not, we'll try and contribute as much as we can.
Yeah, Charlie, when you look at a Yeti huffing and puffing for long enough up at Pittodrie, on comes Lee Griffiths, takes one little touch to set himself, and then curls an absolute belter into the roof of the net. He is clinical.
It's what you pay money for top strikers. He's a top striker. He's done it for a number of years at Celtic. We've known that. It's just we always just think that it's the other side, and obviously his issues he's had off the pitch as well. But we keep talking about, which is hopefully is in the back burner now, and the lad could go and focus on playing as well as he can and scoring goals, because that's what he's good at. He's a terrific striker, and on a selfish point, we'll probably be looking, if he can get a few games for Celtic, then that Scotland game next month again will be, coming even closer, and he'll be looking to try and get in that squad if he's picked.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Charlie. We did ask him about Serbia, Roughie, yesterday, and he said, Serbia's the furthest thing from my mind. If I get picked by the manager of Scotland, he says, fantastic. But right now, is just trying to get in a starting place in that Celtic side. But I think Charlie echoes the sentiments of everyone. We need as much Arsenal there as we possibly can to try and pull this off.
Yeah, I think he's got to focus on Celtic. That's his priority. But I think deep down, he'll know what it means to be part of the Scotland squad. He'll know what it means to be, meeting up with all the other guys and playing in these high-profile games. He's a high-profile player. I'm still sticking to my task that he needs somebody up there with him. I don't think he can play that lone striker role. I think it's just asking too much of him. He gets too frustrated. He gets fed up doing it, making all the runs. So if we can find somebody up front for him with Scotland, which I think we will with Dykes, I think he's ready-made to play off him. With Celtic, it's a different one. We've all known that with Edward last year, the two of them were an absolute success. So I think a lot of the Celtic supporters will be hoping that Edward can make it with Griffiths. That puts a different slant on the game altogether.
Yeah, I'm looking sometimes, Scottish people are very optimistic. Even when it rains regularly, we still look for some kind of shaft of optimism, but not with Brian Curtis, who just basically says he won't get back to his best. He's missed his chance. So as you can sense,
he's maybe hanging up the boots then.
Well, I was just about to say, Brian's trying to motivate him. He's well chucking it. I mean, some people just walk about with a dark cloud over their head. But anyway, apart from anything else, it's all about opinions. If Griffiths is back firing for Celtic, it would be great to have him back for Scotland as well. John McLachlan says, would love to see Griffiths get a game against Serbia. His eye for the goal in the last couple of games has been top-notch. But with a back line like Celtic, his goals won't win a league, says John. He thinks it's going to be, let's go 55, which seems to be the cry from a number of fans on here. Ian Noble, who's a big Dons fan, says he's past his best. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what he's got to offer. I'll tell you, if he walks on with 2 minutes to go, Tam, against Serbia 0-0 and curls one from 25 yards into the roof of the net, you'll soon see this nation change their opinion.
Yeah, listen, I think he's a tremendous striker. I think he's still a player that Rangers fans fear. Even if he comes on with an Old Firm game with 20 minutes to go, he's done it before. He can come on and change a game. And Celtic fans, I think, still believe in him as well. I think they're still got the confidence in him that he can produce.
Sorry, he had that chance in the Old Firm game, didn't he? Come on, with McGregor. Yeah. And normally, if he was sharp, he would have pinged that in the goal. He sort of half thought, I try to be selfish and give it to somebody else, when really, if the Fire Lee Griffiths was on, on top form, he would have pinged that in the net. And he's dangerous. Listen, he's a top striker, and we just need to try and get him to this Serbia game fit and ready, because he'll play no matter what. If he's ready to go, him and Dykes will play up front.
Yeah, absolutely. There must be a partnership and a half. Love to see that. Just on this game ahead against Lille and then Aberdeen to follow, Roughie, just one little thing I read in some of the papers this morning. Neil Lennon saying, he's had a chat with Peter Lawwell, speaks with him on a regular basis, and he has mentioned the fact that, he's got his full support. The board are firmly behind Neil Lennon. As you know, when we try and keep a balance on things, 2 or 3 weeks can change your whole circumstances.
No, I think it's encouraging that Lenny's come out and said that the board are backing him. It's always a wee bit worrying when the actual board come out and back the manager. That's when it generally goes a bit pear-shaped. If Lenny has their ear, and he's on contact with them all the time, and he's getting that vibe, then fair enough. But yeah, I mean, like all big teams, if you continue to lose games, you're going to be under pressure, and sometimes it's the fans, that make the board make these hasty decisions, as we've seen year in, year out. Guys getting sacked after 4 games, 6 games, 8 games, and we're all sitting shaking our head, going, "How did that happen?" And Lenny knows, playing with Celtic, being at Celtic, you have to win games, you have to win big games. The semi-final on Saturday is a massive game. If that was to go pear-shaped, this hysteria that we're getting just now will just be twofold.
Yeah, it just kicks in. William Innes clearly says, Peter, you'll know all about dark clouds. So clearly William's not happy with me. But nevertheless, I'll maintain what we've been saying on this programme, which is quite simply, and I did put this tweet out the other day there, Tam, and I do sometimes reply to tweets to take the fight to the other Twitter users, Tam. I know you usually throw a tweet out and then run in and hide behind the cupboard in your house. But I did put out the fact that he is he's got a defence. It's the type of defence that gets a manager the sack. Neil Lennon for me is nowhere near the sack, and I think I've got a lot of time for him. I like him. I think he's a good coach, but sometimes individual players in their form, and because he doesn't have his best players available, suddenly they can put you right in the mire, Tam, and that's what he'll be hoping to avoid with individual players.
Yeah, I agree with that, Peter. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with the manager. If these individual players keep making the mistakes, then he's the guy that keeps picking them. I've read people, Peter. I've read people on social media saying, "Well, Neil Lennon never gave away a penalty. Neil Lennon never made the mistakes on the part." But he picks the team. That's the bottom line. Yeah. He picks the players, so he's got to take the flak if they don't win games. And that he can't say it's not individuals. It's Neil Lennon, but the sword will fall on his head if Celtic keep losing games, and it's not because individual players make mistakes. It's because he's picking them. So he's got to change it. He's got to get a different recipe at the back to get them more solid.
And picking up on that point, Roughie, there's no kind of a leeway or time given to managers on the basis of whether they've got centre halves that are injured that he would probably pick in his place. He's going to have to stick with them, and he said he'll stick with Shane Duffy and he'll stick with this side the way they're going.
Yeah, it's a big shout, but he's looking for a performance. Generally, when you get top class players under a bit of personal pressure, you would expect them to step up. I don't think for a minute that Duffy and Anyer. I mean, I would put Anyer. I know Duffy's getting a lot of the stick, but Anyer for me hasn't been anywhere near the form that we've seen last year. So if you're going to have a go at Duffy, you should be having a go at him as well. But I just think that big players, when your back's against the wall, this is the time when you see them. And tomorrow night and the weekend will be the proof in that.
Yeah, and Kevin says, I don't know why Lennon's getting pelters. He says, we're in October. Get a grip. And apart from that, James Loughran, who says, cheerleader at it again. How sad are you, Peter? So I'm only hoping there's somebody else called Peter on that feed there and he's not talking about me. Anyway.
We're talking about Hearts. I don't know where that's coming from.
Exactly. We're giving you exactly, I know. We're giving you the opinion. I don't think they'll win against Lille. Tam?
No, I don't think they'll. I think Lille will be too strong. I mean, joint top of the French league. I think they're a serious side. They've spent a lot of money in the summer. So I think Celtic will lose the game. I think it will be 2-0 to Lille.
Charlie?
Yeah, I think it'll be a tough game for Celtic, and yeah, I could see Celtic getting beat 2-0 as well.
Roughie?
I think it'll be a tough game as well, but I'm going to suggest that they might be able to get a one each draw. I heard all the stats with Standard Liège, no been beaten at home for 30 games, and there's Rangers went there and beat them. So I'm not buying into all this hype. So I think Celtic are good enough on the night if the players perform to come away with a draw.
Well, there is optimism for you, and lots of Art Monty says Celtic 2, Lille 1. Martin Kerr says Lille, I don't really give a hoot about this game. It's a kickabout, really. 2-0 Celtic, says Niall. 3-1, says Ryan Callum. So everybody's got their opinion on it, but Roughie has taken me aback there. This is a newfound enthusiasm for the start of the week. Long may it continue. So a 1-1 draw from Roughie there. Maybe it's because, and just an observation, maybe it's because Neil Lennon was having a right dig at people, Tam, that Roughie's scared in case his name's on the list.
He's getting a phone call.
There you are. He's had one before.
If Neil wasn't happy with me, he's got my phone number. I'm sure he'd have been on the phone.
Is that right, has he? Has he got your number? That's magnificent, eh? We better name dropping there. Yep, we've been on a few lists in our time, but nevertheless, anyway, apart from anything else, fingers crossed, because the one thing that maybe we're not thinking about, Charlie, in this whole internal battle that we seem to have in Scotland, is if Rangers and Celtic can pull out some positive results, this is pushing us closer and closer to a team automatically going into the group stages of the Champions League, and maybe only fewer qualifiers for the other team in the in Champions League, 2 places.
Yeah, listen, us on the outside, of the old firm, really. It's brilliant for Scottish football if what the 2 old firm clubs have done in the last 2 years. Well, Celtic have been doing it for years, but Rangers now stepping up to the mark since they've been able to get to a position where they're in Europe regular and under Steven Gerrard. The coefficient has been incredible, and if we can just keep performing, getting results, and we can push that into an automatic position where Scotland get a team in there, it'd be unbelievable, and hopefully that continue. But let's say they are tough games, and it's hopefully if they get the results, we can get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony Martin has left us with the possibly the most unusual prediction for this one, and I think it might get Roughie just a little bit excited. Tony Martin says Celtic will be bent over and spanked tomorrow, 4-0, maybe more. So now, how to take Roughie's mind off the game completely. Well done to you, Tony. But nevertheless, semi-finals to look forward to as well. Charlie, you played against Hearts. Amazingly, we were talking about it this morning, some bookies have Hearts favourites for the game against Hibs.
Oh, I think it's a bit much, but listen, Hearts. Listen, they've started the championship well. 2 wins. They obviously they gave us a bit of a going over first day of the season. Huffed and puffed a little bit against Arbroath. Arbroath could have had a few chances, but I still see Hibs favourites for this game. The quality they've got. Your Nisbets and McManus and people like that. Tam McManus commentating. It's going to be an easy afternoon, I think. I think Hibs will win this easily. I think I'll go for 3-0.
Yeah, I noticed you kind of Hibs to win. Did you say Hibs 3-0 there?
Yeah, I think Hibs will win this well. Hibs are going well. They're a good side.
Yeah.
They are a good side. They've got a good group of players, a good manager, and I think they will win this comfortable. Well,
Tam, what did you make of that?
Listen, I want to try and dampen Charlie down a bit. It's a derby game. I don't want to get too excited and keep an even keel. So I'm going to go for 3-0 Hibs as well.
Yeah. It's Roughie. I mean, there's 2 for the Hibbies, and I presume you're just going to steam right in there with the optimism.
Yeah, I'm going to go not along with Charlie, but I think Hibs have played the bigger sides. The pace of the game's been a lot bigger against Rangers, Celtic. I think that will be in their favour at the weekend. And as Charlie said, the players that he mentioned there are match winners. I know Hearts are strong. There's no doubt about that. But a bit disappointing the performance up at Arbroath. But I think if anybody's been up at Arbroath, you can maybe see how things like that can happen up there. There's not much of an atmosphere. I just think Hibs have got everything going for them just now. I'm not going to go 3-0 with the guys there. I'll go 4.
What? 4-0? 4-0 to Hibs? 3-0.
No,
3-0.
No. I think Craig Gordon will be a big player for Hearts in this game because I think Hibs will be in top, but I think Hibs will win 2-0.
2-0. Okay, so there's fairly emphatic wins for Hibs from all 3 of you there. Michael Smith says he's not too bothered about Hibs being in the top tier when he considers what Hearts have available to them.
Both teams will still want to win. It'll still be as competitive as always. The fact that we're in the league below will have no bearing on the day. At the end of the day, it's a derby and anything can happen.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go for the Jambos 2-1. There you are.
I knew it was. It's just so obvious.
Why
doesn't want to give up his hospitality at Hearts?
Why don't you have a little wager on it? Why don't you have a little bottle of red wine or something on it?
Well, the other thing about it is, and the reason why I'm not going to have a wager is because I don't want to get you and Roughie into trouble. So I might have a wager. You're allowed to. We'll have a wee wager for yourself, Tam. We'll have a wee. What about a wee?
Yeah.
What about a wee meet?
Between the two
Go on,
of
Charlie.
you.
Yeah,
Really
that's a
good
good
red
shout.
wine.
Tell you what, Tam, I'll get you a bottle of red wine if the Hebbies
Right,
like.
okay.
Is that okay?
Right, okay.
That's
Yep.
not bad, is it? But
Yep.
by the way,
Oh.
by the same token, if the Jambos win, Tam, I
I'll
don't
get
want
you a
any
bottle
of
of
your,
nice bottle of wine.
I don't want any of your 2020. You know, off East Coast Bride, you know.
I'll give you, I'll give you a bottle of
mad,
Bucky, ice cold.
yeah,
You'll be away
your
up.
mad dog stuff.
He'll be away up the co-op in East Kilbride tomorrow, scouring the shelves.
Oh, aye.
Blossom Hill.
apart from it, yeah, exactly. Keeps it interesting anyway. And the amount of people actually who've steamed in and said, Tam, we'll be getting you a bottle of Buckfast. Never mind. It's a good bet anyway. I'm going for the Jambos 2-1. We'll see how it all goes. Thanks to so many people who suggested Tam should get his Buckfast. Listen, there's a couple of things I want to talk about and get your thoughts on. There was a little questionnaire. I managed to speak to a number of clubs across all the divisions who got this questionnaire, which is basically the SPFL asking questions of all the clubs just to see where they're going if COVID, kicks in really harshly over the next few months in the winter months and has a major effect on the game. Here's some of the questions that were asked. Would you support the resolution to give the SPFL board broad powers to manage COVID-19 related disruption? This is something that was kicked out before, but it's been put back to them. Would you support the SPFL board being given power to impose a 3-0 defeat on clubs unwilling or unable to fulfil a league fixture? With the uncertainty about the virus, do you think it's too early to take decisions now about situations that could arise at the end of a curtailed season? How many league games do you believe need to be completed for a season in a division to be considered valid? Would you support a resolution giving the SPFL board the power to curtail the season in the event it can't be completed by May 31st? And in the event an insufficient number of games have been played, would you give the SPFL board the power to void the season? Whoa, there you have it. There's Tam, there is six there's six howitzers.
Wow.
And I can understand where they're going with this. They want to try and avoid the madness of what we witnessed 6 months ago.
So that will go to a vote then, Peter? That will be within the SPFL clubs. They've got to vote that in.
They've got to look and answer the questions. They've not got to vote anything, Tam. They've got to answer those questions because these are issues that we all witnessed the carnage from the end of last season. If suddenly you can't fulfill the fixtures, how many is enough to award the title to a team at the top? How many is enough to relegate a team at the bottom? I can understand why they're doing this. They're covering their tail this season to stop
they've got to cover their tail.
before. And by the way, remember, this was a situation that some people will forget, but we don't because we sat down and itemised half of it. This is a situation, Charlie, that prompted some clubs to call for the heads of Neil Doncaster and others in the whole situation.
Yeah, listen, it's a tough situation, but I keep saying, why all of a sudden now at the 28th of October are we talking about this? This should have been done before the season started. You can't all of a sudden start bringing in rules and things like that because this and that. I just think if it's not there to be, it's not written down, there's not a rule. I don't think you can just start bringing rules in for the game. I just think we have to just get on with it and play. But listen, if COVID hits again, we're in a bad way. Football is, Scottish football's in a bad way. Not just about winning leagues and relegations. It's there's more to it than that. I think clubs can go to the wall really.
Yeah, I think that's still pending, Charlie, to be perfectly honest with you, even on the basis that we're now in a situation where we're about to go to this 5-tier regulation across the whole of Scotland, Roughie, and some regions will be harder hit than others going into this tier 4, where they won't be able to move again. It's not quite locked down, but it's close to it. So, Roughie, in the north, I think they're hoping that they'll be able to get, Aberdeen will be hoping to get, Ross County maybe hoping to get in the next couple of weeks 750 or 1,000 fans in there.
Yeah, I think that's what we all want. I think any of us have been at a game, or as Charlie's case, played in a game. You want to perform with supporters there. They definitely add something to the game. There's no doubt about that. And so, yeah, we have to be aware the pandemic in certain areas is getting worse, and we have to curtail that. So I think we just have to sit and wait, But on the other subject you're talking about there, SPFL need some kind of response, because they don't want to be left, with the buck at the end of this, because as you've just said there, it was a horrible buck to carry. The insinuations that was going on through, rightly or wrongly, is something we didn't want in the game. It just dragged our football into the gutter. So it'll be interesting to see what the clubs come back with. A lot of them will have different views, as we know, as they did when they voted. But like Tam, I don't know how they come to some agreement with all these different things, because everybody will have their own idea of where they want to go. So it's a tough one. I think they're doing the right thing. I think that because if this pandemic gets any worse, we don't want to go through what we went through the last time.
Yeah, Hugh Scott, I think, has got it down to a T. He says, Roughie, better get the WhatsApp group ready again, I think. So Hugh has got his finger on the pulse. He knows exactly what way this is going again. But I agree with you, Roughie. I think the reason, I know what Charlie's saying, if we are suddenly heading into the second wave, which is just as bad as the first wave as far as the pandemic is concerned, clubs will be in trouble. But I equally agree with you, Roughie. I think they're trying to stave off this time by going in October and getting answers back from all the clubs, Tam, to see if they can gauge how quickly they can move this on to get some kind of power voted on that will allow them to say, you voted, we're allowed to make this decision. Here are the situations that have arisen, because again, as Charlie points out there, if we go into it, it should have been maybe done in the summer, but we were slowly but surely coming out of, treacherous, terrible figures, and people thought optimistically maybe we would get a grip on it, maybe there'd be a vaccine, or maybe there would be something that was positive for us all to get back out working with lots of fans and grounds. But you can only react to the twists and turns of how this is unfolding.
Yeah, you've got to get something written down in paper that the clubs agree with. But listen, I've got to agree with Charlie. I mean, you're going to bring in, rules midway through a season, or 10, 12 games into a season. I understand we were coming out of a lockdown, we didn't really know what we were doing, but if you start deducting points now, and you look at teams like St Mirren who have been ravaged by coronavirus and not been deducted any points, if clubs suddenly vote on deducting points now, the sporting integrity of the whole league is called into question. So I don't know how they're going. It's a headache. I don't know how they're going to agree on a certain amount of rules going forward for the SPFL if COVID strikes harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the biggest one in everything is, when do you call the league? When do you call the league is the biggest one, right through all the divisions. Because if a lot of people come in and say, let's have a void league after 20 games, there'll be absolute mayhem.
Yeah, absolutely.
There has to be a fixed place that everybody knows.
And as a lot of people are pointing out here, there's no indication there of relegation as well. I mean, thankfully for Partick Thistle, Roughie, you still get another league that you could get relegated to. So there's still a way for you to go. There's still one more league to get down. And of course you'll be able,
the only way is up. The only way is
yeah,
up.
Absolutely. And if they declare it null and void, especially if Hearts reach the cup final and are out in front in the championship, undoubtedly Hearts. Well, to be fair, they'll relegate Hearts as well. Even if they're out in front in the championship, Tam, it's an absolute stonewall certainty.
Oh, he's sticking up for him again.
I'm glad we managed to get that win at the weekend. Then, if to get us off the bottom of that league.
Roughie's saying that enough with Thistle.
Absolutely.
They're fluking a win against Airdrie.
I wish you'd have been here, Charlie, in the summer.
Did I tell you about that Blair Spittle goal? What a goal.
No. Yeah, absolutely. Were you ranked rotten but stole the points?
Oh, we're just happy just to win the game, but did they just give away?
Exactly, Roughie. That's what a win's a win.
That's a win. And
absolutely.
I have to give credit to Clyde the week before and Airdrie. Very good, well-organised sides. The Scottish football is on the up.
Yeah. Listen, this can only
These are
be
happy
a tablet.
pals.
This is a tablet. Absolutely. There's
It's not a
something.
Viagra.
Do you know what there needs to be? There needs to be a check on what medication you're taking before you come on the show. Because 2 weeks ago, he had me ready to jump off a cliff with my Scotland scarf on. And now there's a big change. Anyway, apart from anything else, it'll be interesting to see what comes back there. I'm going to just mention Neil Gray always likes to keep his up to date on that. I was looking for it the other day there as well. Neil Gray says, Peter, I've researched The Three Kings. You remember that movie that was coming out? The Makers of Modern Football. It's about Jock Stein, Bill Shankly, and Sir Matt Busby. It was only in cinemas for a day. It's out on DVD from the 16th of November, which is good. I feel a Christmas present coming on, to be perfectly honest with you. I think I'll be definitely getting my stocking filler with that one. That's one down for the list. Thanks for that, Neil. We always like to stay up to date on these things. Listen, one little bit of bad news, and I was at the game and I watched them rushing out for it, Roughie. Trevor Carson looks as if he's going to be out for 3 months for Motherwell, which is a blow because he's been back to his best. He's managed to get in the team, and then suddenly this, and it was an innocuous run out to try and head the ball clear, Roughie, and I think maybe the Ross County player caught him on the edge of his knee. I might be wrong, but suddenly 3 months out for him, and that's a blow.
It's a massive blow. You know, he's already been out for about 18 months there, you know, and at one time Celtic were looking at him, you know, as a backup goalkeeper there. That never happened. So, no, I have a lot of sympathy for players who are out injured. Fortunately, I never had a big major injury myself, but to be sitting in a treatment room for a year or 9 months and then it to happen again and then you're out for another 3 months, it must be soul destroying. You know, you just want to play, your careers get shorter and shorter. So let's hope he can get back quicker as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, and I think a lot of Motherwell fans are mentioning their best wishes to Trevor Carson as well. Listen, I love battles in the boardroom and with your superstar player. It looks as if the Barcelona president, Josep Maria Bartomeu, is out, Charlie. He's decided that he is resigning from Barcelona after that feud. Yeah, after the feud with Lionel Messi. Messi wins in the end, but not before Bartomeu mentioned the fact that he's agreed terms to join an elite league of 16 or 18 European teams. So all that smoke that we mentioned, Charlie, over the last couple of months, you know, there's no smoke without fire. The big clubs are trying for a breakaway.
They always will. They always will, because they want all the power in each league. And you know, Rangers and Celtic will be trying to get in that as well if they can, because they've got the fan base, they've got the power. I always felt that the Messi thing was always to get the president out, and look what's happened. He's got him out. Too much power. Messi runs the football club, and the new president will come in, and everything will be rosy. But you know, it's easy until we actually see it happening. You know, the president could easily could say whatever he wanted on the way out, a parting shot that he's joining the Super League. I think it'll be very difficult. But you know, these big clubs want to do this. They will find it hard. But you know, you never know.
Yeah, and our reporter says Motherwell have just signed Jordan Archer. He's been called up for Scotland as a goalkeeper, and he's signed for Motherwell as well. Just as we were mentioning Trevor Carson. In fact, just on the back of that, it's a short-term deal until January. He was a free agent. And just off the back of that, Niall Kane as well has mentioned Jordan Archer coming in. So clearly, Roughie, they've moved quickly, Motherwell, to, you know, just fill that gap.
Yeah, he was on the fringe of the Scotland set-up. I think he was number 3 keeper on a couple of occasions, and I think he was on the verge of maybe they were going to try him out to see how he went, but he certainly got a lot of experience behind him, and it just shows you that Motherwell had to move very, very quickly, because I think they'd let one of their younger goalkeepers go out on loan. So, no, they've got a top keeper there.
Just a wee point I was going to pick up on with Charlie there, Tam. I still think Messi will leave in the summer. I think he's at a point he's thinking to himself 2 or 3 years somewhere else.
I don't know. I think I agree with Charlie. And Charlie was very firm, to be fair to him, that he thought this would happen. You know, Messi would try and get the president out, and that's happened. So I think that Messi wields the power there. And I think, obviously, Javi has been heavily rumoured to come in as a new coach next season. So I think it's all falling into place for Messi. I think he's got what he's wanted. He's forced the hand of the board and I think he'll be Barcelona for life. Messi, I don't think he'll leave now.
Yeah, here's a line, Charlie. Messi and Ronaldo, for me, over a 10-year period there, for everyone, it was a joy to watch them. Going, head to head, scoring, breaking records, Champions League appearances, goals for their clubs in a season. I just wonder, do you think we'll see Ronaldo or Messi in a European final again, or even winning something at the European level again, Charlie?
So it's a tough question because the two teams at the moment they're in, Juventus team they're a good side. They dominate Italian football for have 8, 9 in a row. But the Barcelona team they're struggling at the moment. I'd find it hard to see any of them win the Champions League again, but they still seem to go for this Ballon d'Or, and like I say, it'd be interesting if the season had finished. Who would have got it? Would it have been Lewandowski with the amount of goals he scored, and he would have broke between the two of them for the first time in, like you say, 10, 12 years. They've dominated football, the both of them, and it would be a real shame to not see any of these type of players in a European final again. But you never know what could happen, because Barcelona can produce a player or a moment of getting to a final. So we'll see.
Yeah, so it was a golden era, Roughie, that we've just witnessed with two of the greatest players ever. And I just asked the question today, I wonder who is actually coming through, who's going to be the greatest ever player. I've come up with 5 possible names that might be able to take up the battle. And, Mbappe has always been there or thereabouts at 21. Haaland at 20. João Felix, who scored last night. I don't know if you watched him for Atletico. He looks a player. Matthias de Ligt, 21. And Ansu Fati, who is supposed to be an absolute sensation, coming through at Barcelona again, Roughie. I just wonder, I cannot think of anybody else coming through that's actually going to get us as excited as Ronaldo and Messi did.
Yeah, the only other one I can think is the one that Hugh McDonald keeps talking about, the boy for Borussia, the boy that Man United tried to get, the young boy.
Sancho.
Yeah,
no chance.
A lot of him, but you're right. I can't think of any more than that. That would break through, and it'd be disappointing if they don't, because we've had a fantastic time with them, and the younger generation would be hoping they could get another 2 or 3 players that they could worship just like these two.
Yeah, have I missed anybody, Charlie? Is there someone you've got in mind?
No, I don't think there is. Mbappe's the one for me. I think he's going to be a superstar. Yeah. I think he is phenomenal. I actually think he probably has to leave PSG to go somewhere else, or Real Madrid, or come to Man City or something like that, because I think it's too easy for him in that French league. But no, he's probably the next one.
Yeah, a couple that I've mentioned here that I thought we'd mention just because of the I like a bit of the banter. Ronnie Chapman says Glenn Kamara. You've missed him on this. So Ronnie, it's always a shout. I love to hear people. And Gary McGurn says Peter Messi's been offered the house in Motherwell. Well, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not too sure we'd allow him into the area. We'd have to check the visa, Roughie, before he came into the hallowed area. And whether Motherwell are going to pay him the money or not is open to debate. But nevertheless, I was trying to think of who, and somebody there, Ryan Callum, says Ansu Fati will be the next best player in the world, and Haaland says Craig McGregor for him. So lots of people jumping in on the bandwagon. Last night's results. What?
The young boy.
Come up with somebody now.
No, the young boy.
Foden.
Man City.
Yeah. Phil Foden.
Yep.
He's a top player, but he's not on that world class stage. No, yeah, listen, we're talking about 16, 17-year-olds, aren't we here? 18-year-olds now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mbappe's
I'll tell you one thing, Charlie, and the great thing about when COVID's over, we won't be separated by these little boxes. And that means that you'll get a chance to actually look with the same frown that you're looking at Roughie, and you'll be able to just keep custard pie.
Disdain.
Honestly, every time Roughie opened his mouth in the last half hour, Charlie.
He's just coming up with names. Sancho, Foden, anybody else?
They're
not going to be world class.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him in there next to Roughie. Well, listen, Roughie, stick by your guns. Stuart Carruthers says, what about Grealish? Do you know what? If there's one player, Charlie, I would turn the telly on to watch every day of the week at the moment, it's Jack Grealish at Aston Villa. I love watching that boy play.
Yeah, he's a fantastic talent. He's he took his game again now. He had obviously had misdemeanor in the COVID, but he's dragging Aston Villa. He's got good players around him now. I think that's what helps as well. He's got good players around him. Your Barclays and the other lads at Villa, John McGinn, people like that. He's got better players around him, and that's helping him go to the next level. So he's done brilliant, and they're on a good run.
Yep. Okay, just before we finish, UEFA have just announced that Scotland will have 5 places in next season's UEFA club competitions, increasing from the 4 spots we've had in previous years. Good news. Scotland will now have 2 sides in the UEFA Champions League qualifying rounds. The winners of the Scottish Premiership will enter now at the 3rd qualifying round, and the 2nd place team in this season's Scottish Premiership will enter from the 2nd qualifying round. In the Europa League, there'll be 1 place granted to the winners of the Scottish Cup, and they will enter at the 3rd qualifying round. The club who finish in 3rd and 4th place of the Scottish Premiership will enter into the newly created UEFA Europa Conference League from the 2nd qualifying round. So, interesting times. UEFA, I think, trying to, what's great for us, it gives us a chance and incentive for some clubs to get a wee taste of European football, Tam.
Waste of time.
Yeah, why?
Because, if your Aberdeens and your Hibs are struggling to get into these competitions, what the clubs lower down the other leagues are going to struggle as well. We need to try and front load it and get our top teams into the best competition. And they're still having to play 3 qualifying games before they can get in the Champions League. I don't think so. I just think we can keep it at 4 if we can, and I think that's softening the blow by giving them an extra place. Are we going to get 5 teams into Europe?
We'll only get 2. We'll only get 2. We've already actually highlighted, how poor and dire our other clubs are, and we already know where we are as far as European football is, Charlie. But I think on the basis of the fact that I think the next key issue here is we're getting, more and more teams in, and we're getting, less and less qualifiers because of the coefficient. So that's good. The downside of it is what you just mentioned there is quite simply, we don't have good enough teams in the standard to get past these qualifying rounds.
No, we don't. And, it's like to say, you want to try and get your clubs the best opportunity. I understand fair enough that, Motherwell and Aberdeen and people like that, Hibs, if they do well this year, are going to get into Europe. But are the 5th team in Scotland going to actually get into the Europa League? No chance. And then there's another financial outlay for these Scottish clubs trying to travel to the games and things like that. So I just think, listen, Rangers and Celtic are our strong teams. We got to try and do as best we can to try and get them into the Champions League, and everybody else gets the the financial package from that as well.
Yeah, well, I disagree with you on that, on the basis of the fact I am all for a meritocracy, Tam. I think if you have got the places available, if you get the chance to play it, then by all means. But as Charlie mentioned, they're okay. The fifth best team in Scotland, or the Scottish Cup winner, might not have any great chance of going further in it. But in a meritocracy, you get the chance to compete in it. You get the chance to prove everyone wrong. The other thing about this is quite simply, our 3rd team in Scotland's not good enough to get past the qualifying rounds, Tam. But we just have to keep trying.
Yeah, we need to keep trying. I think if you get past one round in Europa League, you get 100 grand, 150 grand prize money. So I think that would keep a club going as well. Don't need to get in the group stages as such. You just need to get by maybe a round or 2. And you get a few quid from UEFA. So yeah, I think you've got to take your chances. But it's up to the clubs, our Scottish clubs, to be better. We've got to be better. You see the likes of Dundalk and teams like that in the Europa League. It's not impossible if you get a decent draw that you can get into the Europa League.
Yeah. Okay, last night's results in the Champions League, here's how it looked. I started with Liverpool. It got really boring, and then I switched over to Mönchengladbach against Real Madrid, which was good. And as you can see from those results there, I think Real Madrid, a shadow of the former team with Ronaldo at the helm, and Manchester City cruised it against Marseille, and Liverpool eventually got there. Lokomotiv and Bayern was a good game as well. I watched the highlights of that and Atletico Madrid this morning. What game is going to get your thoughts tonight, Roughie? There's only one game in town for me, and it's going to be Barcelona over there in Italy against Juventus. Tell me another game that you're going to watch instead of it, Roughie.
No, there isn't another game. That is the only game of the night. We all know all the stars that are in that one. Bit of a test for Barcelona with everything that's been going on in the background. So Juve are always a very, very difficult side to beat, but I think tonight Barca will win that one.
Yeah. Charlie, who are you going to watch? Are you going to watch it, or are you basically just going to watch something really, really dull to reflect your mood today when you've been an argumentative guy who's just custard pied Roughie? You want all the other teams in Scotland to chuck it and not bother trying to get into Europe. I mean, Charlie, have you been eating Roughie's pills from last week because you're a pain in the back end today? What's happened to you?
I'm in a good mood. I'm happy. We won last weekend.
Yeah. Any chance of telling your face?
Listen, that's the way it goes. Now, I'm going to watch Man United against Leipzig. I think Leipzig are a good side, and that'll be a good game.
I'm going to watch that as well, Charlie.
Well, thank God, Roughie, you and I know which game to
Ronaldo's
watch.
Not playing. Ronaldo's not playing, so what's the point?
No, we're not watching. We're watching it for the Messi's playing.
The Empire's finished at Barcelona.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I might agree with you. But anyway, apart from anything else, Alison Sarah Carroll has just said, I have my... Shut up, Roughie, will you? I'm just reading something there. Alison Sarah Carroll says, I have my book club tonight, and that kind of sums it up. Some people will watch, and Ronaldo's still out with COVID. Good shout, Charlie, says Tony Holton. So he agrees with you. Never mind. Roughie, what were you going to say?
No, I'm going to look forward to the games today after I've watched the University Challenge. So, Edinburgh's
absolutely. Edinburgh is on, yeah. On that note, listen, don't forget to like, share and follow us. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've still got to the end of this month a fantastic prize that you could win if you get your thinking cap on and like, share and follow us and subscribe as well. You've got an iPad, you get some great prints, and you get some fantastic T-shirts with some of the best players in the world all in one package. Dare I say it. Anyway, apart from anything else, from Tam, Charlie, Roughie and myself, have a great night. Thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.